Let's make some rings, except today we are ditching our original setup because we are going to be making every single stacker band that's available in our shop. So right now I'm going to pull out all the wire that we need, which by the way, all of this is for one order. We're going to be making 2 thin rings and 2 thick rings, both in silver and gold. So here's what the wire looks like, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut each piece down to size. I'm not going to lie, this video has been sitting in my drafts for quite some time, so I don't remember what sizes they got, but I can make any ring size 3 through 16, half sizes included. Anyways, here's what the metal looks like so far once it's completely cut. And I did file down the edges off camera just because they are a little rough after cutting the metal. But after this, I grabbed my ring bending tool and just bend the rings into circles. You're going to see in a second that they aren't perfect circles, which is totally fine. We're going to fix that later on. We actually don't need them to be perfect circles at this point because we are going to use a different tool and push the edges together. That way there's no gap whatsoever and it'll make our soldering process 10 times smoother. So that's what I'm doing right now. And here's what the ring looks like once I'm done doing that. Now we're going to prepare the rings to get ready for the soldering process. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our soldering board and just place each piece on there. And then we're going to add on what is called flux. This pretty much protects the piece from fire scale while also helping the solder flow. But speaking of solder, we're actually going to go ahead and cut 4 pieces. I'm going to cut 2 silver ones and then 2 gold ones. This is our little piece of gold solder. Although we are making gold filled rings, we do use pure gold for the solder. So that tiny piece of metal that I showed you just a few seconds ago is around $20, which is so crazy, but thankfully we don't need much to solder a ring shut. Anyways, right now I'm grabbing the little pieces of solder that we cut and placing that by the seams. And now we're just going to heat up each piece until the solder flows. If you look closely, you can see the exact point at which it does flow. Right now we're heating up the gold filled pieces. And after this, I go ahead and quench them. That way they cool off completely and I could keep on working on the rings. Here's what they look like at this point. Now we're just going to grab each one and put it on our ring mandrel and hammer it out. That way it ends up being a perfect circle. Then I'm just going to repeat that same process for the other rings. And after this, they go in what is called a pickling solution. This just helps clean up all the fire scale off the rings. Next, we're going to file off any excess solder. However, this is only going to be done on the sterling silver rings because unfortunately you can't file or polish gold fill just because it is such a different material. So I really have to make sure I'm careful when working with it because if I do end up scratching the ring, there's pretty much no fixing it. Anyways, right now I'm putting all the rings inside the jewelry tumbler. This is just going to help get out any tiny imperfections while also bringing a shine to the rings. And then I'm also going to go in with 2 different polishing compounds for the sterling silver rings. Again, just to get out any tiny imperfections and to really make the rings shine. Anyways, now the rings are officially done and here's how they turned out.